I found my wife's bra in the car and decided to leave without a word. This is what happened next. You ever hold something so small, so ordinary that it completely destroys your sense of reality? That was me, standing in the driveway holding my wife's bra, wondering why it was under the passenger seat of her car when she had already left the house wearing one. I'm not the paranoid type. Never have been. If anything, I've been the guy who trusted a little too easily. I don't go through phones. I don't track locations. I believe people when they tell me who they are because I expect the same in return. My wife, Jenna, and I had been married 6 years. No kids. Dual incomes. Decent house in a quiet neighborhood outside Charlotte. She worked in commercial real estate, the kind of job where she's always meeting clients or staging showings. She made more than me, which I never minded. I've always liked working with my hands, carpentry mostly, and I ran my own modest renovation business. She used to joke that I could fix anything but her coffee addiction. Things hadn't been perfect lately, sure. She'd been distant. Not cruel, not cold, just somewhere else. Her laughter felt hollow. Her hugs too brief. We chalked it up to stress. Busy season. Market fluctuations. Life. Then came that October morning. We were getting ready to head out to her cousin's engagement party about an hour away. She came downstairs in a navy blue dress, hair pinned up, heels in hand. "Can you grab my sunglasses from the glove box?" she asked while adjusting her earring. I said yeah, kissed her cheek, and headed out to her car. I opened the door and leaned in. Her car was spotless, like always, leather wipes in the side pocket, hand sanitizer clipped to the vent. As I reached for the glove box, I saw something poking out from under the passenger seat. Just a strap at first. Thin, black, lacy. I pulled it out slowly. It was a bra. Not balled up. Not abandoned like laundry. Neatly folded. Like it had been taken off and tucked there in a rush. My stomach dropped so hard I felt like I might throw up. It wasn't a stranger's bra, it was Jenna's. Same style, same brand, I'd seen her wear it 100 times. But I also knew what it meant when her bra was off in a car. And it sure wasn't changing for the gym. I brought it inside. She was spritzing perfume on her wrists. "What's this doing in your car?" I asked, holding it up like a piece of evidence. She looked confused for half a second, blinked, then smiled. "What?" "This," I said, louder now. "I found it under your passenger seat." She tilted her head, narrowed her eyes just slightly, then laughed like I'd asked her where the remote was. "I don't know. That's not mine." I stared at her. "Jenna, I know it's yours. You literally have 3 of the exact same one. Maybe it's old. Maybe you're seeing things." I'm holding it in my hand. She shrugged and turned toward the mirror again, adjusting her necklace. "Are you seriously making a thing out of this right before we have to leave?" And just like that, I was the problem. I didn't press it. I just stood there stunned, frozen, like I'd stepped into someone else's house, someone else's life. She kept getting ready like it was any other day. Grabbed her purse. Blew me a kiss. "See you in the car." I didn't go. I said I had a headache. Watched her drive off without looking back. That night she came home a little tipsy, humming some song from the party, and curled up on the couch with a glass of wine. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just gaslighted me in our own kitchen. I stayed quiet, sat across the room and watched her. Everything in my body wanted to ask again, to make her tell me the truth, but something stopped me. Instead, I started watching more carefully. Not just her behavior, but mine. How often I made excuses for the distance. How many little things I had ignored. The bra was just the beginning. And if she thought I'd forget it? She had no idea what was coming. You ever try to scream underwater? That's what it felt like for weeks after I found the bra. I wanted to yell, to confront, to do something, but instead I sank quietly into the background, letting her carry on like nothing had changed while everything inside me was breaking. The weird thing is, once your eyes are opened, you start seeing everything. She used to leave her phone face up. Now it was always face down. Notifications silenced. A new passcode she never used to have. The kind of changes that would barely register to anyone who wasn't looking for them, but I was. I was watching everything now. And she knew it. "Why are you so quiet lately?" she asked one night over dinner. "Grilled chicken, sweet potatoes, wine? Normal. Too normal." "Just tired," I said. "You're always tired. Long days." She nodded but didn't press. That was new too. Jenna used to press. Used to lean in and pull things out of me like string. But now it was like we were both just playing roles in a marriage neither of us truly lived in anymore. I stopped trying to touch her. Physically, emotionally, whatever. There were a couple half-hearted kisses, a few casual hand brushes, but nothing with weight. She didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she did, and that was the point. She started dressing differently too. Not that I ever tried to control how she dressed. Jenna's always been confident, but the shift was noticeable. Lower necklines, shorter hems, fancy lingerie receipts stuffed into her purse, from stores I'd never heard her mention before. One night she came home late, like real late, after midnight. No text, no call. "Sorry," she said, laughing as she kicked off her heels. "Work thing ran long. We got drinks after." "Who's we?" "Just the office crew. You know how it is." That's the thing I didn't know. I knew how it used to be. I knew her schedule, her rhythm, her energy. This was off. The laugh was wrong. Her perfume was stronger than usual, like she'd reapplied it. Her lipstick was mostly gone, except the faint outlines still on the corners. She headed straight for the shower without saying anything else. I heard the water turn on and sat on the couch, staring at nothing. That night, I pulled out a notebook and wrote down everything I'd seen in the last 2 weeks. Bra under passenger seat. Phone now always face down. A new passcode. 3 late nights in 8 days. Less physical affection. Smells like new cologne. A withdrawn emotionally. I don't know why I wrote it out like that. Maybe to convince myself I wasn't crazy. That this wasn't just some overactive imagination playing tricks on me. That there was something real happening, and I was the only one honest enough to admit it. I started checking mileage on her car when she got home. I know, that sounds obsessive, but when you're being lied to in broad daylight, you start measuring shadows just to feel sane again. On Tuesday, she said she had a showing across town, 20 minutes away. She left at 5:30 and came back just before 9. But when I checked, the odometer had barely moved. So where was she really? I didn't ask. That became my pattern. Notice something. Make a mental note. Say nothing. Every part of me was screaming that this wasn't salvageable. But still, I wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet, because I knew once I crossed that line, there was no going back. So I waited. I watched. I planned. And the more I planned, the more I started to disappear. I began pulling back in quiet ways. Took on fewer jobs. Canceled our anniversary dinner without telling her. Let her think I was just tired, burnt out. But really, I was taking inventory, not of tools or furniture, but of my life. What was mine? What could I walk away with? One night, while she was asleep, I took out a flash drive and copied every financial document I could find. Bank accounts, credit card statements, her calendar, her call logs, and tucked into her downloads folder, a PDF labeled Sheraton Invoice, Room 418. The timestamp was from the same day she said she was getting drinks with coworkers. I opened it. It was a hotel receipt. 2 guests. Wine service. No company billing code. I didn't feel rage. Not even heartbreak. Just confirmation. The thing about seeing the truth is, once you do, you don't have to shout about it. You just act. That was the night I knew what I had to do. Not scream. Not accuse. Vanish. Let her wonder. Let her feel what silence really sounds like. There's something coldly beautiful about preparing to leave without telling anyone. Every tiny act becomes a ritual. Every glance becomes a final one. You start folding socks with more intention. You memorize the shadows on the wall during sunset. You take pictures in your mind of a life that you know deep down you're about to walk away from. She had no clue. Jenna went on smiling, sipping her tea in the mornings, texting from the bathroom with the door slightly cracked, leaving makeup stains on the white towel. She always swore she'd bleach but never did. She made plans for a mini vacation in December. She asked if we should repaint the guest bedroom. I nodded, smiled, said sure a lot, but I was already gone. The day after I found the hotel invoice on her laptop, I opened a new checking account at a different bank, one with no shared branches, transferred $300 at a time every other day. Nothing suspicious, nothing too large, just enough to become a foundation. I rented a P.O. box across town, bought a prepaid phone and activated it under a fake name, created a new email account. This wasn't about revenge. This was about freedom. You can't reason with someone who lies while looking you in the eyes. And I didn't want to spend another second explaining to someone why I deserved the truth. I didn't want an apology or some crocodile tears after a confrontation. I didn't want to stay up all night arguing over what it meant. I wanted out, so I built a map. Literally. I printed one of those giant US maps you find in classrooms and pinned it to the wall in my workshop behind the house. Pinned every place I'd ever thought about living. Little mountain towns, coastal cities, old college towns with quiet bookstores and late-night diners. I cross-referenced them with Craigslist jobs, short-term rentals, and small business opportunities. I made a list of everything I'd take. My tools, my late father's watch, the photo of my granddad in uniform, my high school class ring, the blue ceramic mug Jenna never touched. One suitcase of clothes. That was it. Everything else could stay. The house? She could have it. The furniture we picked together? Hers. The photos on the wall that looked like they belonged to strangers? I didn't want them, but I wasn't going to ghost her like some spineless coward. No, she was going to feel it. She was going to wake up one day and realize the silence she thought was passive had been the beginning of my goodbye. One evening, about a month into my planning, she came home from a team-building seminar wearing a new dress, one I'd never seen before. Her hair curled, her makeup heavier than usual. "You going somewhere fancy?" I asked from the kitchen, sipping a beer. She paused for half a second. Not long, but enough. "Just went to a nicer place after the seminar. We celebrated closing a big deal." I nodded. "Cool." She walked past me, kissed the top of my head, and went upstairs. The moment her feet hit the top step, I dropped the smile. That same night, while she was in the shower, I walked into the garage, opened the crawl space behind the shelving, and tucked my packed bag inside. I'd already told a friend out west, someone from my trade school days, that I might be passing through. He ran a small renovation business and always said he had too many projects, not enough hands. Told me I could crash in his spare room for a while. No questions asked. "You sure you're okay, man?" he asked over the phone one night. "Yeah," I said, watching her silhouette past the bedroom window upstairs. "Just need a reset." He didn't press. That's the kind of friend he was. I started deleting myself in pieces. Canceled our streaming subscriptions one at a time, blaming billing errors. Switched paperless billing on all my personal accounts and changed the passwords. Cleaned out the workshop, sold off a few expensive tools on Facebook Marketplace under an alias. Set mail forwarding from my business clients to the new P.O. box. Scheduled final appointments with my clients and didn't rebook. It was like preparing for my own funeral, except I wasn't dying, just being reborn. Then one afternoon, 2 weeks before I planned to leave, I walked into the kitchen and saw Jenna on the phone. She was smiling, but it wasn't her usual smile. It was soft, a little flushed. She didn't notice me, or didn't care. She turned her back, voice lower. "And I swear to you, I didn't even want to know who was on the other end. Because that was the moment I realized something deeper than betrayal had happened. I didn't love her anymore. I didn't even hate her. She was just a stranger wearing my wife's face. I left on a Thursday morning. She thought I had a job site meeting across town. Said I'd be back before dinner. "Text me if you'll be late," she mumbled, brushing past me in the hallway. I nodded. Gave her the same casual kiss I'd given 100 times before. But this one was different. It was the last one she'd ever get. The bag I'd hidden in the crawl space was already in the truck. I'd topped off the gas the night before, stocked a cooler with a few sandwiches and energy drinks, and wiped every trace of myself from the inside of the house. I'd even cleared the browsing history on the shared laptop, logged out of every account, removed my name from the joint grocery app, turned off the location sharing she didn't even know I'd left on. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't write a letter, because I didn't owe her that. Some people might call it cruel, cowardly, but I gave her every chance to be honest. And she chose lies. She chose smirks. She chose "you're imagining things" instead of "I'm sorry." So I gave her silence. My plan was simple. Drive west. Stop when it felt right. I had a friend waiting in Idaho, old school buddy who ran a small business flipping cabins near a lake town. I'd help him for a while, see where things went. I didn't need much, just space to breathe. I turned off my phone before I hit the highway. About 4 hours in, I stopped at a rest area, ate half a sandwich, watched a few birds picking at crumbs, and took a deep breath. That's when it really hit me. I was free. No one knew where I was. No one could call, text, argue, plead, lie, twist, guilt. It was like walking into a soundproof room and shutting the door behind you. Except the room was my own mind, and for the first time in over a year, it wasn't on fire. For the first few days, I kept waiting for the guilt to kick in. It didn't. I slept better than I had in months. No more late-night pacing. No more checking the driveway to see if she was home on time. No more pretending to be okay while she rehearsed her excuses for the 1,000th time. The first morning in Idaho, I helped my buddy sand down a deck on a fixer-upper. We worked in silence for an hour, then he handed me a beer and asked, "You want to talk about it?" I shook my head. "Nah," I said. "Just want to keep moving." He nodded like he understood. And maybe he did. That weekend, I found a local place that sold the kind of handmade ceramic mugs I liked. Bought one. Blue glaze. Heavy in the hand. Looked nothing like the cheap matching set we had back home. I sat on the porch with that mug and watched the sun break through pine trees, wondering how I ever lived without this kind of quiet. Back home, I imagined her calling my name, confused at first. Then panicked. Checking her phone. Checking the bank. Calling friends. Then family. Then the police. "Have you seen him? Do you know where he is?" "I don't understand, he was fine yesterday." That's the part that probably got to her the most. I was fine. Not angry. Not cruel. Not shouting or slamming doors. Just done. You can't scream at someone who's not there. Can't argue with silence. I imagined her sitting on the couch, holding the bra she never admitted to. Staring at the dinner table I'd stopped eating at. Checking the garage and noticing my tools were gone. Wondering how long I'd been planning it. Wondering how many mornings I stood next to her while mentally packing my bags. I hoped she looked in the mirror and asked herself how she missed it. Or maybe she didn't miss it. Maybe she just never thought I'd leave. But I did. And I didn't lock the door behind me because I wasn't worried about her following. You can't chase someone when you're still lying to yourself. It took her 5 days to call my friend. He didn't pick up the first time. Let it go to voicemail. Let it sit there. He knew better than to get in the middle. But curiosity got the better of him, and on day 6, he clicked play. The message started with panic. "Hi, this is Jenna. I don't know if you know me, my husband, Mark, he's gone. I think he might be with you. Please. I just need to know he's okay. Please." My buddy forwarded it to me with a single line, "You want me to answer?" I typed back, "No." And that was the start of it. 3 missed calls the next day. Then 5. Then 24 over the weekend. By the end of the first week, I had 43 voicemails, all forwarded from the old number I left behind. I didn't listen to a single one. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what she'd say. It probably started soft, concerned, confused. Then sharp. Accusatory. Then desperate. Then silent again. That's how guilt works. It doesn't hit all at once. It comes in waves. And the quieter I stayed, the louder her mind must have gotten. She texted my brother. My cousin. Even an ex-coworker I hadn't talked to in years. "Has anyone seen Mark? I think something's wrong. He left and didn't say anything. I don't understand." I imagined her pacing the house. Opening drawers, calling neighbors, driving around like I might be parked behind a gas station waiting to be found. The truth was, I didn't want to be found. Not by her. I was working with my hands again. Waking up early, tired from labor, not exhaustion from distrust. I went to bed with sore muscles instead of a sore heart. I made small talk with strangers at the diner. I really laughed, for the first time in a year when a dog knocked over my coffee cup chasing a squirrel under my table. And every day, her voice faded more from my memory. What stuck wasn't her laugh or the way she used to hold my arm in crowds. It was the moment she looked me in the eye and told me, "You're imagining things." That moment lived rent-free in my mind. That was the point of no return. About 3 weeks after I left, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize at first. The subject line was, "Please." I almost didn't open it. But I did. It was long. Rambling. Disjointed. Clearly written through tears. She said she didn't understand what had happened. That she knew I'd been distant, but she thought it was work stress. She said she loved me. That we were good together. That we could talk about it. That whatever I thought she did, it wasn't what it looked like. She ended it with, "Please come home. Just tell me what you need. I'll do anything." I closed the tab. Didn't reply. Because that was the problem, she only started listening once she realized I was gone. Only started begging when the silence became undeniable. Only started looking at her own reflection once the one who used to love her had left the mirror. People always think leaving is loud, that it comes with shouting and slammed doors and packed bags in the hallway. But sometimes it's a man folding a flannel shirt quietly. Sometimes it's a husband memorizing the sound of silence in the bedroom. Sometimes it's just nothing. And that nothing, that's the loudest goodbye you can ever give. 1 year. That's how long it took for the silence to finally echo loud enough for her to hear it. 365 days since I walked out the door and vanished without a word. No note, no confrontation. No, we need to talk. Just gone. Like a ghost escaping the house it had haunted too long. In that year, I rebuilt my life. Not all at once, and not in some dramatic new man kind of way. Piece by piece. I worked construction jobs under the table at first, then joined a renovation crew in a small town near the Idaho border. One of those places where everyone knows everyone, and nobody asks too many questions if you're the kind of man who minds his own business and shows up on time. I rented a small cabin off a gravel road. Pine trees for neighbors. A porch swing that creaked like an old friend. I got used to cooking for one. Got used to eating in peace. No tense silences. No rehearsed lies across a dinner table. Just me, my tools, and the sound of wind cutting through the trees. I went to sleep tired, not emotionally drained, just physically worn out in the good way. The way that lets you rest. The way that lets you forget. And for the most part, I did forget. Until she reminded me. It happened in late October. Almost exactly a year to the day. The leaves were golden and falling fast. And I was sipping coffee from that blue ceramic mug I'd picked out in my first week of freedom. My phone buzzed with a notification tied to the backup email I rarely checked. The subject line was blank. But I knew the name. Jenna. I didn't click it right away. It sat in my inbox for nearly an hour, unopened, while I cleaned up the kitchen and swept the leaves off the porch. Part of me didn't want to give her a second of my new life, but I was curious, not hopeful, not angry, just curious. So I opened it. Mark, I don't know if this will reach you. I don't know if you'll even see it, but I had to try. I think about that morning every day. You kissed me goodbye, said you had a meeting, then nothing. No calls, no bags missing, no signs, just gone. For months, I convinced myself something happened to you, that maybe you'd been hurt or were in trouble. But now I know the truth. I know what I did. I lied to you. I cheated. I gaslighted you when you asked questions you had every right to ask. I told you the bra wasn't mine. It was. I told you I was working late. I wasn't. I told myself you'd never leave. But you did. And I think that's what breaks me the most. Not just that you're gone, but that I don't even deserve to ask you why. I miss the way you used to fold the laundry before I could get to it. I miss hearing your keys hit the bowl by the door. I miss your quiet, your calm, your certainty. I don't know where you are. I don't even know if you're alive or happy or both. But if you ever think of me, please know I'm sorry. Not because I want you back, but because I should have said it when you were still around to hear it. Jenna, I sat there, reading it twice, 3 times, and you know what I felt? Nothing. Not rage, not satisfaction, not even pain, just quiet, a strange, deep peace, because I didn't need her apology anymore. I didn't need her to confirm what I already knew. Didn't need her to explain away the nights, the lies, the smirks, the way she looked me in the eye and told me I was imagining things. I'd already buried that part of me in the same place she buried the truth. Still, I felt like replying not out of emotion but closure. My own kind. The kind I didn't owe her, but gave anyway. Jenna, I got your message. I'm safe, and I'm good. Really good. There's nothing left to fix. Nothing more to explain. Take care of yourself. Mark, that was it. I hit send, closed the laptop, walked outside and sat on the porch as the last few leaves gave up and fell. People think revenge is loud. They think healing comes with a scream, or a grand confrontation, or walking away with dramatic music behind you like in the movies. But sometimes healing is just peace. It's not explaining yourself. It's not reliving the pain. It's building something new, and not even thinking That's freedom.